Balcone's first ever year-round bourbon was an inspiration. It all had to work together. A blend of carefully selected ingredients, Texas-sized pot stills, and creative people determined to find the absolute best way to usher a new whiskey along. When you discover how it pairs with a meaningful moment, suddenly the feeling of drinking great whiskey becomes a whole lot more.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Whiskey Neat, spirited conversations with interesting people. I am your host, Kristopher Hart, and yes, I'm wearing the same outfit 2 weeks in a row. This is our second episode from our Dallas Fan Expo weekend. I was lucky enough, thanks to our sponsors, to go visit Fan Expo in Dallas, take a film crew up there, get to sit down with Meredith and Oscar, Kate Flannery and Oscar Nunez from The Office, and talk about the show, talk about the legacy, have a few drinks with them, some old vintage bottles, and just kind of connect. And it was kept a little short. I know that they're busy at these things. I don't want to hold them down too much. So it was just an awesome experience. I got to have a great conversation with them both. So this week's episode is Oscar Nunez and Kate Flannery from The Office, and let's get to paying those bills. Whiskey Neat is brought to you in part by Legent Bourbon, a first of its kind super premium bourbon that melds Kentucky. Guys, you know how I feel about Legent. They've been a sponsor of the show for the last couple of months. I'm a huge fan of theirs. It's an approachable, affordable, solid bourbon. There's literally nothing to take issue with. It's a great, awesome project, blending both Japanese blending excellence and, of course, Kentucky distilling perfection. They've been a sponsor for a while, and I'm a big fan. So you can always get a bottle of Legent at drizzly.com, DRIZLY.com. And of course, drink smart, drink responsible. Last but not least, Glass Rev. I've talked about them every week. Raj, Jane, and Bill, the original Dram Hunters, have opened up Dram Hunters, their Dram Hunter program to the public. It's available online at glassrev.com. Click on the top bar, mention that you heard about it from me at Whiskey Neat, and they will set aside a special bottling of Murray McDavid just for those who mention the show. Just for those who mention the show. Dram Hunters. Go to glassrev.com. That is glassrev.com and become a Dram Hunter today. Look, guys, without further ado, please welcome Kate Flannery and Oscar Nunez of The Office. Cheers. I've been fans of both of you for quite some time, but I actually, in preparation, I get to dive a little deeper.
Okay.
And I hear things in other interviews, and I'm like, oh, man, you get to know you guys a little bit better, right? The whole hero worship thing. I wanted to ask this question and get this out of the way at the top. You guys, do you remember the first thing that you filmed, that maybe your first credit, what year that was that you filmed it? And don't say it out loud yet.
Okay.
Say it at the same time, because I have a feeling it was the same year.
Wait, let's.
But the very first, that we got credited.
Oh,
well,
gosh.
because I filmed things before
That
I was
we
credited.
get credited.
So I feel like that
Okay.
made a difference.
Hold on.
Maybe a horrible question.
No, it's just complicated because now I can't remember what that.
So I went back to y'all's
Yes.
IMDb pages, and there was quite a bit of stuff.
I know the first IMDb thing.
Okay, hold
but
on.
I did stuff before that, but
Hold on.
it was not necessarily on IMDb.
Okay, I have one. I don't know if it's real.
I did too.
All right, ready, set. What year? Ready, set, go.
86?
Oh, really?
97, and it was Can't Stop Dancing, but it was really Trick because I shot Trick before that, but they both came out the same year.
Yeah, see, and I know that sometimes things come out in the wrong order.
Yes.
But I went back and I was like, you guys both have credits around 98 or 99 to 98, 99.
Right.
And you guys see, the very first day that y'all auditioned, you have the call sheet framed. You
Yes.
were both there.
Yes.
And you guys got it together. Like, you guys have been on this path.
Strangely, yes.
Like quite a bit. And I just thought it was interesting because there's obviously all these relationships that developed, but you guys really have been on the same path this whole way.
Well, it's true. Well, we both were in comedy. Like, you were at the Groundlings and I was at Second City. Like, we had a lot of parallels because they're like these institutional comedy places where you learn your craft, and if you're lucky, you get to, still get to do this because there's still a lot of funny people that go through there. But
and Kate and Leslie David Baker and I are on the same call sheet,
yes,
which is really cool.
We are.
And
the
he
office.
said that he had given y'all each a copy of that call sheet, but you have the original framed at your house.
I have
You got
the
the
original,
original.
but I made copies
Who do you
for
have
them
to blow to get the original?
because it's
No.
a special.
I'm just kidding. I don't need it that badly. I'm not going to blow you.
Blowing
I'm sorry.
wasn't in fashion.
I'm not going to blow you.
Back it wasn't in fashion.
You're like a brother to me,
fashion
Oscar.
wasn't
I'm not going to.
blowing.
I got myself in trouble
Kate and
immediately. I blame
you already
Pennsylvania
know. Already
Rye.
you've gone down a road of
Yes,
a rye.
I'm sorry. I blame.
Kate and I.
Yes.
Are we on? We
Yeah,
started.
we're on.
We
yeah.
started like
Kate and
minute
I
we walked in the door.
became such fast friends.
we did.
We're cut from the same cloth.
We cut out a silent
She's
language.
I'm from Philly. She's from Jersey.
I'm
Reverse
from
that.
Philly. He's from Jersey.
And put
the
it in
rye
a
whiskey
sock.
there.
It is.
And,
telling you.
And it's the same thing.
1947.
And we had a.
41.
41. Oh gosh, that was the year my dad graduated from high school.
It was the year that we got into the war, World
Right.
War II, yeah.
And my dad was a prisoner of war for over a year. That's a whole other reason
Was
to
he
drink,
really?
you guys. But he's still here. So
And he's
good.
still with us.
Still, yeah,
Joe?
to Tom Flannery. Tom Flannery.
to Tom.
He owned a bar,
Tom
Flannery's
Flannery.
Tavern.
I got that down too. I thought it was interesting because I wanted to ask. I know that Meredith was the drinker. Your dad owned the bar.
Yes.
Was that a big part of the family dynamic?
Absolutely. Still is. No, I mean, I'm a bar owner's granddaughter, a bar owner's daughter, and a bar owner's sister. So yeah, it's, yeah.
My mom owned a bar. I mean,
wow.
obviously, and I do the show here too. So it's like
Where's
see your
your mom's
yeah.
bar?
it was in good old Pasadena, Texas. Not too far. I mean,
Hey.
it's California's got your Pasadena. Our Pasadena's not in as nice a shape as your Pasadena.
I think I want to hang out in your Pasadena before
Oh, you
the California one.
Kate's,
Cut off jeans are
Let's
still
do
in
it.
style there.
Right? Hey, my era.
Men's cut off jeans.
Okay.
if I may, you guys, with the frivolity, let's take a moment. Kate's father is a freaking war hero, as is anyone
Wow.
who fought the, and he
Yeah.
and so he's old school. So he in his bar, it's like a film. It's like a and so
Yeah, it
there's
was,
characters
yeah.
and there's men who were shell shocked or whatever, and he would
Yeah.
take care of them.
He had the rooms above the bar. If they couldn't work, he would let them. Like if they couldn't pay rent, he'd let them work it off. So
and
we
do
always
some
had a lot of
chores
alcoholics, like
and he'd pay them.
cutting
they
the
would
grass
just-
or putting
peeling
up a
potatoes.
shelf
Like
that
a
was like
safe house
backwards. Yeah.
almost.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, he had his own version of it. Yeah, a lot of guys that worked there. Yeah. One guy literally broke into the back of my dad's station wagon and fell asleep. My dad found him and gave him a job and a place to live for the next 30 years.
It means your dad had a big heart.
Oh yeah.
What did the
Still
thing?
does.
What was
Yeah.
it? What, with the paper bag and the money? He had something with the
Oh,
money.
something where like he would leave a test. Whenever a new guy worked for him or moved in, he'd like a pile of money, like a small pile of money on the bar.
Just
and
a
he'd-
test?
Yeah, and then he'd have a bottle that he would mark, and then he'd leave, and then he'd find out what their character was. So usually the booze was down a little bit. The money was there, so it's okay. We can work it
Yeah,
out.
it's a
The
good
money's
trade-off.
there,
That's a
yeah,
good
it's
trade-off.
It's
yeah.
like a biblical.
The booze is watered down
test.
anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, he passed the
funny.
test.
There's I had the stepfather growing up did the same thing with quarters.
Oh,
And
interesting.
he would leave piles of quarters out.
Little tests.
And if the kids took the quarters, and I took quite a few quarters back then, big ol' ass whooping.
There you go.
So
There
it
you
was
go.
a huge thing. So I wanted to, one of the things that you guys get asked about a lot, which by the way, let me ask that. Is there a specific question you guys get asked a lot that you're so tired of answering?
Who was
That
funniest
one.
on set?
That one. See
That
what I
gets
did?
asked
It's
a lot?
very meta.
Yes,
That
it's true.
question.
That question is true. That's true.
wow.
Really bugs
Yeah,
us.
yeah. No.
Oh, wow.
No, go ahead, Kat. I interrupted you.
No. It's the same. It's the same ones. It's like,
It's the same.
what was your favorite scene? What was your favorite episode? Who was funniest on
garbage.
set?
Who was funny? What's your favorite scene? Are you doing? Is it
If you
coming
could
back?
be any other character, is it coming back?
Is the show coming
if you
back?
Could be any, who was your favorite character other than you?
I heard
is the show
several
coming back?
interviews that y'all did separately where
Yes.
the same question was asked. Why do you think we can't do the show today? And I actually had an answer to this. Both y'all said, I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
why it is we feel like we can't. Because the show's more popular now
Right.
than it was then, which is also a bit mind-blowing. If you can't do it today, why is it so popular? That kind of tends to contradict itself. I had a thought about this that I don't think's ever been discussed, but Michael Scott,
Sorry.
Michael Scott is what the average, the problem we're facing now, like with COVID or with politics or where everyone feels they're an expert. Michael Scott was that guy,
Totally.
but
yeah.
lovable, right? Like
Sure.
there was this thing
Sure.
where Michael Scott
Yeah.
knew everything, had an answer for everything, was slightly inadvertently racist or inadvertently insensitive. There's a lot of people like that nowadays that really sums up.
But he's not lovable. You would feel sorry for him. You would hate him, and then you'd feel sorry for him because it was just awful what was happening to him, which he made happen to himself.
Sure.
And then you'd feel sorry for him and go, "Oh, he's okay." And then he'd do something awful, and you're like, "No, why did I let it?" And you would
Give him
that's
another
so-
chance.
You would give
It
him a
was
chance,
like-
and then would
every
start
time.
again every
Right,
time.
right.
Every time.
It's so complicated.
This is a I'm gonna pass on this.
Sure.
Let me try when the birthday girl.
Yeah.
Because this, she said, I don't think this is a little too harsh.
Yeah, it's okay. It's high proof stuff.
It's high proof stuff.
And what I tell people is to sip smaller and smaller. That's why we sip on the show.
I sipped a little
Totally
sick, but I'm good. I'm
understand.
good. I'm gonna go on to
sips and sips. But
Chug-a-lug.
this was bottled the year you were born.
Wow.
So everything you've accomplished. And I was looking one for you, but I couldn't get it in
You
time.
can't. They didn't have bottles. The glass was not. The Egyptians had not ground the sand into the.
So everything you've achieved, a little time capsule if I can get it open.
Oh my
You
gosh.
mean that's not even open yet?
It's
You
not
can do,
even open.
wow,
dear God.
it's christening the
Well, this one
bottle.
wasn't
Katie,
for
we have to take a sip of this.
I know, but what do I do? Is there a spit
Oh,
bucket?
you just leave it there.
Okay,
I'll give you a
okay,
second glass.
okay.
We've got more glasses here.
Glass number 2. We
You know
can
what
only stay for a few. I can't party with you. I couldn't
That's okay.
possibly. I couldn't possibly. Okay.
Yeah,
These bits are all tried and true.
Right?
Flannery, she will not do a bit that's earlier than 1965. It's got to be 65 or older.
yeah. So
best to go
these
back.
could be quite hard to track
This
down.
was-
So I nailed it though. I found it.
Right.
It's yeah. God, she's pretty.
It's all granddad.
Old granddad. See, we used to have some paraphernalia, like we would have trays or like pitchers around the house from a lot of the booze distributors. So we had old granddad, I think like an old granddad clock or something.
Yeah, it's iconic. Yeah, back then they used to. So whiskey wouldn't sell that well, and they would make more than they can get through. So they made it collectable.
Yes.
Right? Decanters,
Yes, the
Beanie
decanters.
Babies. It was before Beanie Babies. You had
You had booze babies.
booze babies.
Right. Hey.
And memorabilia. They made
They
it as
did.
commemorative as possible.
It's so true. Yeah, I think I still have a Liberty Bell whiskey decanter. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. And it makes you correct. You know what I'm saying? Right? This thing
Yeah,
on.
there's no promise it's good.
Okay.
It's old, so
It's old.
It smells different.
it's got kind of a mothball, closety grandmother smell.
Yes, it does. Sorry, I think that's me.
One of the things I did want to ask you is you smaller sips. Smaller sips. Nips.
It has to be.
It has to be nips.
Okay.
It has to be sips because it's. You know what?
Sniff during it.
Creed and I have been trying once a month. I say
You have been trying your entire lives.
Japanese.
It's very popular.
So good.
Sake? Oh no,
And
Japanese
it's-
whiskey.
Japanese whiskey, yeah.
Wow.
They do a lot of Mizunara oak stuff.
They don't mess around. Boy,
Very
when
popular.
they do
Nice.
something,
Nice. I have not.
It can be
whether
quite
they're
pricey.
invading a bay or making whiskey, the Japanese, in
World
my
War-
book.
What?
Why do we keep going back to World War
World
II?
War II. We keep
You know why?
going
Because
back.
we're drinking old.
We're drinking old. It's like
everything.
Like we're not staying. We're only taking a
right.
couple.
And I think you're actually turning gray as we're sitting here, and
Everything
so
has
am I.
to. We have to give a nod. This
The carpet doesn't
this
match
should
the
have
drapes.
stayed in the bottle.
What? It should, right. But you know, sometimes it
Oh
is.
my God!
This
What a
is-
smell!
it
What
is-
a
it
what
is
a
a-
weird.
Arts.
This is a weird time machine.
Library.
Yeah.
Old
it is,
books.
Yeah.
Old books.
Totally.
And
This
it's
is
not
what's-
bad. It's still drinkable.
It's very drinkable. In fact, these
Good Lord.
these are very tradable in the world of whiskey.
I
people,
bet.
People go nuts for this
Oh my God,
stuff.
sorry. Jesus God. Sorry.
So this
Something's
is
going off. My
this
my
is a
inner alarm is
52?
going
It's
off
the
in
year-
this. This
it's
is
a
a
1952?
This is the 52. I wasn't born
Say it
in
again?
52. I was born in 64.
64,
I only
65.
feel like I'm
if it's
older.
not a 52, then someone's lying about something. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. And I kid out of love because she's my friend and we're allowed to
And he's older than I
kid
am.
about it, and I'm older
Right.
than she is.
There you go. But not more mature.
You got me.
Neither one of us are mature.
You're right on both points.
There you go. When you're right, you're right.
We'll
when you're
drink to
wrong,
that.
you're right.
Flannery.
Oh, you guys also, I left one part off. You guys also quit your day job at the same day.
We did.
I mean,
we did.
I went back. I was like, what? They auditioned same day. They quit their day job from between season 1 and season 2.
You just gave me an idea, and if we had time and had known about this, we should have set it up where I go to your job and I go, she fucking quits, and you should have gone to my job and go, he fucking.
Absolutely.
You know what her manager told her when she quit?
It's not gonna last.
No, let's say it. 1, 2, 3. You'll be back. What a shit thing to do.
Yeah.
So we had him murdered. 'Cause we make that kind of money.
Yes,
And
we're
it
actually the
can't be
Scranton,
true.
the Scranton
We've got
Strangler.
great alibis.
Both of us.
We've got great
Meredith
alibis.
And,
They're fucking covered.
And Oscar.
Don't do murdering yourself. The
No.
old-fashioned
no,
OJ
it's very
way.
Strangers on
Hire
a Train
someone.
way. It's if you look it up, it's an
I
Alfred
threw OJ
Hitchcock
under the
film.
bus because it's time.
Strangers on a train. Yeah.
You know what I
Enough
mean?
time
Yes,
has
they
passed.
they swap murders.
I
so
threw
they
him
swap
under-
people. Okay,
In the spirit of Norm Macdonald, I threw OJ. I did an OJ murder joke.
One of the
he's
greatest.
so alive.
I told I love my wife. We've been together 15 years. But
Well,
Congratulations.
thank you. I
They said
tried.
I lost $20. I thought you guys were going to break up 5 years ago.
Is that what it was?
It-
Yeah.
sorry.
I tried real hard to explain the Professor of Logic joke from Norm. I don't know if you ever heard, but it's one of
Yeah.
the greatest. And my
Have
wife's like, it went on too long. I'm like, that's the
That's
joke.
the whole-
He's an
That's the
ass.
joke.
Here's one that doesn't go on too long, and it's not. He said a lot of. This one is not controversial because it's not making fun of. It's just a funny joke. There's two gay roommates, and one guy says to the other guy, "Listen, let's play hide and go seek. I'm gonna hide first, but if you find me, you get to fuck me up the ass. I'm behind the couch."
Come on, let's rise.
We are the ones with the fun running, baby. You can shake it till you break it in the morning light.
Come on, get prepared as soon as you hit the playback. We about to ignite every one of them haystacks. If you ain't ready, fool, you should make tracks. It's the beat rock, no time to fake jack. Rock it out all night.
See the flames rising as we
Show me
rise.
what you got. Get a sip of the ride.
God, Norm Macdonald was one of the classic. I didn't even expect to talk about him this weekend, but I'm glad you guys are fans. He's a
Cheers
great
to-
guy,
to Norm.
absolutely. So I did wanted to. You tell a great story.
I'm behind the couch.
You tell a great story. David Keckner jumps up from behind the couch. Is it David?
David, it's
Yeah,
David, yes.
He's
Why am I
here.
drawing
He's
a blank?
here.
He's
Two
here.
drinks. I did a show before this, so
I
a couple
understand.
more.
You got to pace yourself, Chris. Come on. You're a professional.
You tell a story about going to Studio 54.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Here we go.
And you tell a story about some relatives that may or may not have sold some drugs to a famous.
How did you get
Artist.
this information?
Unbelievable.
I am fans of you.
Wow.
There is another legendary person who is very well known for throwing parties, and I'm curious if there was ever an epic party within the office. Craig Robinson is apparently quite the.
Oh, yeah. Craig is
very
not afraid of a
hospitable.
party. He's awesome.
Not just a party, like he's hospitable, he thinks through it, he's accommodating, like he makes sure that you remember that party. Did you guys have an epic at
We were
any point?
never at Craig Robinson's place.
We
But we partied with him,
We've
but not
partied
at his place.
at that really
our bar. Yeah. Oh my God, in K-Town. Oh my God, we had an
There's a
epic night.
There's a
with-
bar in Koreatown
A few
that
epic nights.
it's like you need a passport to get
you
in.
need the password. Yeah.
And Kate and it was just the three of us.
Yeah, and we
had a
we
great
felt like
time.
we were in the East Village in New York that
Yeah,
night.
we
Like,
had a
it was
fun
like we
time.
were in our.
But I've
in our
not been to
20s.
one of his parties.
I have not either.
I think we're too tame in his book.
Yeah,
I think he
I
has,
think we.
I
that
think
was
he
a
has
test
parties
that
with,
night,
with
and we
other
disappointed
people
him. Yes,
that are
we
not in
blew
our
it.
age bracket or
He's the
people
best.
who can perhaps twerk better than we can.
Sure.
He parties, and we would just be sticks in the mud in
he's-
one of his
yeah,
parties,
and-
I think.
yeah.
Which is true. If I was in my 20s and single and partying the way I used to party when I went to studio, he'd probably invite me because he's like, Oscar will hold
can-
up
he can do it,
his
yeah.
intake of whatever there may be.
Right.
It
And
would have
I'm
been
a shell-
powdered,
I'm a shell-
confectionery, who knows?
I'm a shell of my former self, so I cannot keep
Yeah,
up like
we
I
would
used
not,
to.
we can't,
Yeah,
we wouldn't be
that's
able to
true.
keep up.
I'm 34, but even now I'm like I'm going to bed at 9. I don't want to.
You're an old soul.
Well, I mean, 4 kids will
Oh,
age
God.
you quick.
Oh, yeah, there you
so
go.
I've got a 15 and 16-year-old daughter, and I especially nowadays, I constantly ask myself, what if they were doing what I'm doing at this? Like, I don't.
You have 4
Wow.
kids.
15, 16-year-old teenage daughters, 4 and a 6-year-old,
I'll
4-year-old
drink
boy.
to that.
That's good for you. We have an 8-year-old daughter, and I'm trying to adopt another one, and my wife is giving me a hard time, and I don't know what
Why?
to do because I want to adopt another daughter. She's a 21-year-old supermodel. Now, hear me out. She's falling on hard times.
What?
Legs from
Wait,
here to there and
what?
back again.
What?
My wife won't let me adopt her. And I'm like,
Check, please.
I think I saw that video.
Oh, this is free,
this is what the booze does.
right?
2, like literally a quarter ounce.
To literally.
I know we
It
barely.
kicks
We
it-
just looked at the
it
bottle and we got
kicks in
wasted.
the Studio
Literally, we just
54.
looked at it, and I'm like, "Bleh." Anyway, 1964.
Was there ever talk?
Maybe.
Called a segue. Was there ever talk of Parks and Rec and Office doing a
I don't
crossover
know why
thing?
we never did, because I remember them coming to the set. I remember when Aziz and Aubrey came when they first started shooting the show, and they came to visit our set.
They
and we
did?
were like, Yeah.
Those two shows are compared more
Oh, yeah.
than any other show I can think of.
Well, because Mike Schur was a writer on The Office, and then he and Greg Daniels both created, and Greg Daniels, of course, was the reason why the American
mastermind,
version
right?
worked, because he was our showrunner, our leader, our master. So the two of them created Parks and Rec. So yeah, they were like, same neighborhood, different block,
I felt like you guys could have easily done something, maybe even just a Chris Pratt,
Totally.
like a little segue thing.
Sure.
Or not a
Sure.
segue.
No, I know what you're saying. A little crossover.
A little crossover.
I know.
And you
We need
guys.
a time machine.
Well, and I think someone's talked about you guys, and I know you mentioned getting asked about it a lot, about there being some sort of reunion type thing.
I don't have it on my schedule.
No?
I'm not the one saying no, so I don't know what's in
The Friends did it, and
They sure did.
And it kick-started. My wife and I started the show over again. We couldn't help
Right,
it.
I know.
What did the Friends do? A whole season?
No, they
No,
just
they
did this
just
reunion
had a reunion
show.
special where they asked questions and they
Yeah.
had a nice conversation, and they basically
Oh,
said,
it wasn't a show.
No,
No.
it was more like, you remember back in the 90s they would do shows that were like clip shows?
Sure.
Like episodes
Yeah.
would just be
Yep.
clips of old episodes.
Yeah.
They basically brought the cast back and did a Q&A, similar to what we're doing here. And then they showed clips, and then we started the show over. We couldn't help it. Like, it was such a big part of
and
our...
you just wanted to check to see how much plastic surgery they all had from the
Yeah,
beginning.
I mean, it was amazing. I think it
They
was...
look amazing. I shouldn't say that.
It's Always
you-
Sunny in Philadelphia pointed out that there's this thing that happens where in shows, in real life, we get fatter and older. As
Right.
we
Right.
look worse, but on sitcoms, they look more and more incredible as the show goes on.
Because the money
Yeah,
Right.
comes
the
in.
money
Right.
comes through, and they want them to
You're
look good.
poor when it starts, and then
Yeah.
you're like,
Chandler season 7, Monica season 8. It's
Right.
like, oh, you guys look amazing.
they look
Right?
amazing. They
I
look
know,
amazing.
Right. Wow.
Did you watch Friends when it came out in real time?
I did.
You did, right?
I did.
I didn't.
But I didn't.
I think I'm not the demographic.
I think it's because I was waiting tables, but I didn't work Thursday nights, and they were on Thursday night. It was only because I had Thursday night off. I swear to God, that was it. Must see TV.
Last question. I won't
Yes.
keep you too long.
Yes.
What, I asked this question earlier to Ray Fisher. I talked to Adam Devine and
Let me
Blake.
pick up those names you just dropped.
Yeah,
Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Sorry.
That's all right. Go ahead.
So I was talking to Matthew McConaughey on my show earlier, and just kidding. Adam Devine and Blake Anderson said that they've had horror stories with fans, and I think it's different within the, like if you're like Zachary.
A douchebag? I'm just kidding.
No,
Sorry, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
no, Zachary Levi is like this sculpted
Totally, he's
sex symbol, or women
gorgeous.
who
Yes,
are.
women love, including myself.
It's tough for us.
He's
Yes,
adorable.
I get it. Zach and I,
Yes.
and we talk about it. We commiserate. We're like, dude, but it's what it is, and part of it's DNA.
What?
What's
happening?
Go ahead. Continue.
What horror stories? Have you guys had any like crazy fans?
Nothing too
but
crazy.
in a good way.
Yeah,
nothing
in a
too
good,
crazy.
fun way.
It's all been love, right? Like, I mean, one of the
Yeah.
things that I think
It's-
you said in your interview with, Brian. Oh God, what a difference Brian on as Kevin and
Yes.
Brian as a
Yes,
podcast
he's totally
host.
different from his character.
But he asked you what
He's
his-
acting, you guys.
Right?
He's not
He's
Kevin
not really
at all.
Kevin.
Believe
He's
me,
not
Brian
Kevin.
He
Baumgartner is
seems
not Kevin.
so interesting. But he asked you what The Office meant to you, and almost the first thing you said was like love. It was one of the best moments,
Oh,
best times.
those are
of
the
your life.
best 9 years of my life. I mean, not only was every person involved in it just really, I mean, pretty much every person was really lovely and really great at what they did. We were all so grateful because we all came out of nothing. No one knew who anybody was when we started that show. And I knew Steve in Chicago because we were at Second City at the same time. And he had like 7 pilots and like none of them went. And so the fact that this all worked out, I mean, it's just like, there's this sense of gratitude. And then I also met my boyfriend on the show, who's an NBC photographer who worked on Friends and Seinfeld and like everything. And I was 40 when I got The Office.
They're still together.
We've been together since we started dating at the end of season 2. And so we were kind of like Jim and Pam in a sense. So I feel like for me, I had
That's
great
awesome.
affection for every moment. And it was great to share it with somebody that I loved because he was so aware of what was going on every time too and understood it even more than I did because he'd been in television so much longer than me.
And he understood from this side, right?
Right.
Because when you're in the moment, it's like, you hope it
Totally.
translates.
That's right.
But he used to hang out in the fake, Chris used to hang out in the fake men's room in the kitchen at the office. So I always knew where to find him. And you had to cut through the fake men's room to get to the real bathrooms. So sometimes people would open the door and we'd be there and they'd be like, like, we're not on the toilet, like, relax. Anyway,
So I mean,
I agree. Love. Paid
Love,
in
yeah,
advance and in full.
it's true.
Because we were getting paid well.
Well, you love money. Is that the bottom line? Maybe.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
well,
And
well,
great comedy. Like, great comedy. where you're like so proud of it.
Oh,
you know.
yeah, absolutely.
But just to
unbearably funny.
to go
And so
back,
happy to be in the background, like whatever it takes to be there, to witness and to be part of it. Yeah.
to go back to what you were saying about like crazy fans, if there's one that comes around, I run to Kate, first person, to share with her. And they're not dangerous or anything, you're just like peculiar characters that you're just like, what just happened? And I always look for Kate.
It's true.
The last one we were talking about was in what was it?
DC.
In DC, and this woman came and she left my booth, and I'm like, where's Kate? Where's Kate? And I ran to, and I told her about it, and I went to find the woman to bring her back to have a conversation. But I couldn't find her.
I actually finished that. Sorry. I'll drink to that lady in DC. Thank you.
She had a beef that she was telling me about.
Oh my God. With how the show, like a character arc?
No. First of all, she wandered into where I was to sign, looking around, and then she looks at me, she goes, what's this about?
She paid to get in the con.
what
and
is
she
this?
didn't even know what she was paying
And
for.
I'm
I
like,
don't even know.
oh, we have a winner.
Sure.
I'm like, I'm on a show, and it was a slow day, and she's like, what do you do? What is this? I'm like, you walked into my... And she was like in her 60s, and I'm like, and then she starts talking, and she goes, I was late getting here because she got stuck on the doors of the train.
On the
I can
subway.
hear in your voice.
She said,
The metro.
I got stuck in the door of the train. They only give you 3 seconds. 3 seconds. She goes, I need 10. I want 10. She wants there to be a countdown.
Countdown on the subway.
10, 9,
9,
before the
8,
doors close,
7,
so she doesn't get
6,
stuck in the doors. So she goes to me, I started a petition, and I said, I signed it. She goes, you signed the petition? I said, I signed the petition. We need 10 seconds. She goes, we need 10 seconds. And I kept her,
This feels like a Seinfeld
That was
bit.
the
Totally.
fucking best. The
It's
best.
the best.
And then she kept talking about Shatner and how she may have dated him. We were there quite a while.
We were.
What stuck out was the petition to get 10 seconds, because she wants 10 seconds to be called out in the subway, so she has time, so she won't get caught in the doors. And then, of course, she left, and I'm like, I laughed, and I'm like, oh, shit. And I'm like, I gotta tell Kate. By the time I went to get her, she was gone.
She was gone with the wind.
thing.
Hope-
But anyway,
please come back.
So those are the people that we get who are eccentric.
But then there's
They're not
also like,
dangerous.
but then
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
also super smart kids who absorb every second.
Oh, there's
and they understand the subtleties of the show in a way that someone who's our age doesn't always get.
And there's
Because they appreciate like being treated like smart audience.
And
because
there's
they
people
don't tell you when to laugh.
There's people who are speechless. There's people who cry.
It's
There's
a
gay
culture,
people
they
who
literally-
there's
yeah.
people who are gay who are like, I came out because of you. I'm like, what? You're welcome, man. That's cool.
That's pretty awesome.
It's like
That
crazy
is-
shit.
That is one of, especially I think one of the things that couldn't happen now is the fact that you're not gay. Now it's a big push to that.
Sure.
That's probably
Right.
something that
Sure.
might be more particular, but like.
And I'm not that drunk. Yeah, same thing.
She does. What happened to my class? No, and
Birthday booze.
That's one of the things. You know, you can take that with you.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
we
I can't get on
tend-
the plane. I can't check my luggage.
That's
I'm
right,
so
that's right,
busy.
that's right.
So busy.
Speaking of being busy,
Yes.
I'll let you go. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much,
doing the
guys.
show.
Awesome. Thank you. You
I
guys.
appreciate it. You guys were great.
Thank you. Cheers, everybody.
Balcone's first ever year-round bourbon was an inspiration. It all had to work together. A blend of carefully selected ingredients, Texas-sized pot stills, and creative people determined to find the absolute best way to usher a new whiskey along. When you discover how it pairs with a meaningful moment, suddenly the feeling of drinking great whiskey becomes a whole lot more.